Hi, my name's Mirnel de Wilde, and I want to talk today about blame. And blame is one of the most common protection mechanisms we use so as to avoid facing ourselves and our feelings. And it's pretty pervasive, and most of us already know the blame game. It's not good for our relationships. And I want to look into a little bit more in detail why that's true and how we can step out of that. So blaming basically means that I say that what you're doing is making me feel what I'm feeling. And therefore my feelings and my happiness is dependent on your behavior. And that's basically a relationship of enchainment. In nonviolent communication, it's even called emotional slavery, that I'm dependent on your behavior, and in the reverse, that your emotions are dependent on my behavior. And in that way, neither of us are at all free. And then I'm asking, well, if you would just do differently, if you would just be differently, if you would say differently, then I would be happy. And of course, even if you do, it'll only be temporary. And eventually, the world doesn't align with all of our needs and all of what we want. And so we're constantly then struggling to try and create a world and people and relationships in a way that our comfort zone is protected. And it makes sense, because if you're responsible for my happiness, then I don't have to use energy. Then you just have to change, and I have to wait for you to change, and then I'll be happy. So as a protection, it makes sense. It saves us a lot of energy, and at the same time, it's not sustainable, and it's not free. And so in NVC, we say our feelings are determined actually not by your behavior or other people's behavior, but by our needs. So the other day I was spending time with a friend of mine, and at a certain point I noticed I was getting quite annoyed. And I was getting annoyed related to how much she was on her phone rather than looking at me and talking to me. And the immediate thought was, if she would just talk to me and connect with me, I wouldn't be annoyed. I'm getting annoyed because she's on her phone. And then a little judging voice is coming in. What a selfish person, just taking care of her own stuff when we're together and had decided to spend time and this kind of thing. And when I look at it a little deeper, I can notice, like, I have a need for human connection. What's important to me in that moment is to have contact with another person, and I want to exchange something. I want to be heard about something that's on my heart, and that's what I was hoping would happen in this time with this friend of mine. And that's the reason that I'm feeling annoyed. If for example, I wanted to write an email and it was important for me to meet some communication deadline, then I would be happy, because then I could be on my phone and I could also get something done. And so my feeling is coming from that longing of mine to connect with another human being. And my blame is coming from a kind of expectation, a projection on my friend that she should be the one who I'm connecting with right now. And so when I get aware of that, I can sink into myself, and I can somehow step out of a blaming attitude. And for most of us, that up until now, it's relatively straightforward. I am responsible for myself and my feelings. And at the same time, I've noticed in my own contemplation of this and in my own experiences of this, that the blame can be really subtle. And I can take 95% responsibility of myself and still giving 5% responsibility away. Say, yes, sure, it's my feelings and my needs. And now that I'm aware of that, can you turn off your phone? And can't you change? And so these sort of, I call them tentacles of blame, can still be there subtly, subconsciously, in that expectation. You're my friend, so you should be there for me. Or my mother, or my father, or my partner. Because we project on these roles and on these relationships, just there's that subtle layers of expectation, of blame that still can seep through. And as long as a part of me wants the other one to be different, then I am not fully free, and the other person, my friend in this case, she's not fully free either. So I want to take full self-responsibility, 100% self-responsibility. And that means really owning all my experience and even looking deeper into where it comes from. So I stay with this annoyed feeling, and I say, this is my annoyed feeling, and I'm the only one who's feeling this way. and I get into my need for connection. Wow, I've got stuff going on in my heart, and I'd really want to connect about that. That's my feeling, and that's my need. And as I look into it more, I can feel that that connection is around wanting to be seen and heard. And why would I want to be seen and heard? Because that gives me a sense of mattering. And when someone who I would like to pay attention to me doesn't pay attention to me, I'm afraid that I don't matter. And actually this situation, and behind being annoyed and behind wanting to connect, there's a deep wounding around mattering. A childish part that maybe is afraid that I don't matter and has had experiences when I was younger, that maybe I don't matter. And then when I drop into that deeper sense of myself, this feeling of being annoyed and my friend being on her phone actually gives me a chance to connect with myself. And now I'm in a deeper sense of self-connection, holding all of my own experience. And I smile now because I can feel it, that then I'm just with myself, and she is free. She is free to be on her phone because that's what's most important to her, for whatever reason, in that moment. And in my freedom to be with myself, and in her freedom to be on her phone, then I can start to make choices. And I can say, hey, you know, there's this all coming up for me as I see you on your phone. Can I share that with you? Or do you need more time to do what you're doing? Or I can make another choice and say, you know, I want to go and do something else now as I see you're on your phone, and I'll take my time, and maybe we meet up later when you're not so busy. Or I can make another request in any other way, and there won't be, even subtly, a kind of a you should pay attention to me, or you should stop what you're doing and do something else, because of that newfound freedom. And I know that these principles are relatively easy to understand, and at the same time, making that journey each time takes practice. And I really want to encourage you that paying that extra little bit of attention to that extra subtle level of how we might blame or expect or project makes an incredible difference to the extent to which we can be free in our relationships. Thank you.